what do you think was the most joyful or happy occasion in med school?
Meeting my fiance, 100%. So he's a current MD PhD student here. I thought, this man is my energy. And so that started off a friendship that quickly turned into a partnership, and he's absolutely my better half.
When you look back at the last 2 years, was there kind of any particularly hard or challenging moment that you had to overcome?
Oh my gosh, there were many hard moments.
Welcome to Learning from Leaders, a podcast from Southwestern Medical Foundation where we dive into a world of wisdom, mentorship, and innovation, exploring the insights and life lessons of seasoned community and business leaders. I'm Michael McMahon, President and CEO of Southwestern Medical Foundation. I invite you to subscribe now and join us on this empowering journey of growth and leadership. Now, let's learn from the best and drive meaningful change together.
Hello, and welcome to the Learning from Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Lili Clark, and our guest today is Alexa Wilden, the Hoden Award recipient of the 2024 graduating class at UT Southwestern. Established in 1943 by the Southwestern Medical Foundation, the Hoden Award recognizes a graduating medical student who exemplifies the unique combination of medical wisdom and human understanding. Alexa, congratulations on receiving this award, and thanks for joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is my first podcast. This is exciting.
So happy to have you here. So first of all, could you just tell us what it means to you to be this year's Hoden Award recipient? And importantly, how did you find out that you had received the award?
I was so shocked, actually, to have been told that I was getting this award. We have really amazing folks in our class, and I could talk all day about my peers. They're just fabulous people. And so getting chosen amongst them is really, really special. And I have to give a lot of credit to the Southwestern Medical Foundation and my fiance for revealing it to me. Ironically, match day was on that Friday. I was actually buying my wedding dress, and Dr. Blake Barker called me.
Oh my God.
And I thought, oh, this is an important phone number. I need to answer this phone call. I can't ignore this one. And he said, oh, we're going to do a shoot on Monday about the free clinics, which is an activity I've always been really involved in. And, come in and do part of the video. And I thought, okay, cool, sure, no problem. And so I get there, it's this very big setup, very elaborate, and then come to find out my fiance Kenneth knew already that I was getting this award.
Oh my gosh.
And so coordinated with Southwestern Medical Foundation and the deans and the mentors to get everybody in one place and make that announcement.
Wow.
There are very few things that genuinely surprise me in this world, and they got me.
Yeah. Okay, well, congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you.
Huge news. And many congratulations are in order because you graduate in just 2 days. So in just 48 hours, we'll be able to call you Dr. Alexa Wilden.
Wild.
So how does it feel going into commencement and graduation and going on to your next step in internal medicine, right? Through residency?
Yes. There's so much excitement with this, and also some disbelief, I think. I think part of my group never really thought we would make it. It seems like it was just yesterday that we were doing our Zoom lectures in the COVID area as the entering class of 2020. And so to just see all of this come together, to see us actually get to graduate and celebrate together in person, all of that is just so special and exciting. So it's going to be a great day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like medical school is definitely a long journey. Has this been your path for a while? Have you known for a while that this is what you've been wanting to do?
It has been for a long time. I was really interested in science and medicine collectively as a kid. That got a lot more personal when my mom got sick. I was very young, and she spent a week in the hospital. She had to relearn how to walk. It was a very traumatic experience for my family. And we were blessed with a lot of wonderful providers who supported us and believed us, even though they couldn't tell us what was going on. And that was really, really special. And so seeing the positive interactions that we had with the healthcare field, I wanted to be those kinds of people.
Absolutely.
And so that passion persisted, and I was lucky enough to get accepted here to this wonderful institution. And now here we are, and hopefully I get to be that person for my future patients as I start in July.
That's exciting. So how did you decide on UT Southwestern?
Actually, I this is kind of a secret, but I didn't even know UT Southwestern existed prior to probably my junior year of college. One of my close friends, her name is Dr. Julie Cooper. She's actually a PGY2 internal medicine resident here.
Okay.
She went to medical school here and we went to undergrad together. She is someone who I always thought, oh, I want to be like her when I grow up. She's super cool and great with patients. And so she was coming back home to Texas and coming to school down here. And so I started looking into it and seeing the clinical training that I was going to get here with all of our different hospital systems, seeing the access that I was going to have to all the faculty and the peers that I was going to get to interact with. And then just the patient population. We have such a unique spot here training at Parkland. I knew it was going to be absolutely phenomenal, and it did not disappoint. So I'm so glad that I made that choice.
Yeah, well, we are too. Lucky to have you here in Dallas and at UT Southwestern. So what kind of kept you going throughout med school? What were kind of the things that kept you really passionate and excited and enthusiastic throughout the last few years?
It's a great question. I think when you're in med school, especially that first year and a half, you're mostly just doing bookwork and in your classes, taking your exams. It can be very easy to kind of lose your why and your purpose in all of that because it just feels like another lecture and another test. But really focusing on the people made a huge difference. So focusing on your patients whenever you got to have your patient encounters, focusing on your peers who are very inspiring people and who are supportive of you, focusing on your family and leaning on them when you needed them, focusing on your mentors and asking them questions when you needed something from them. All of the people around you continued to push you, and the environment that and the culture that was created during med school really pushed us to keep going, especially when COVID was at its peak. And despite us not being in the same location, there was still a lot of unity that we got to experience, which is very, very special. So I hope that's what I can also bring to the residency culture, is just staying focused on people and the patients.
Absolutely. So Alexa, you got to work with Dr. Kyan Price a couple of years ago as part of your rotations. And she is a past Hoden winner a couple of years ago. So what is it like kind of being mentored by her, and now you are a winner yourself? So how do you hope to carry on some of that mentorship that she taught?
Yes, she was the intern on my pediatrics rotation. Almost 2 years ago, I guess now. It feels like forever ago and also not that long ago at the same time. She was such a calm energy in kind of a pile of chaos. At that point in time, I was trying to figure out where I was going to apply, starting to get things together for residency applications. So there was a lot happening, and she made a wonderful environment for us. And she was so kind in answering my many, probably often silly questions. And you could tell that she loved her job.
Yeah.
She loved her family. She loved her job. She was excited to be here. And that kind of energy is infectious. And so seeing her in that role, she is going to be one of my biggest role models as I think about who I want to be as an intern for others who are coming up the pipe.
When you look back at the last 2 years, was there kind of any particularly hard or challenging moment that you had to overcome?
Oh my gosh. There were many hard moments. I think what's so interesting about medical school is we all kind of come into this thinking that, or at least being told that we're intelligent and we're going to be successful. And you're like, yeah, okay, great. And then medical school hits you, and there are different transition points during school where, it's really, really hard. You're super overwhelmed. You have no idea what you're doing. You don't feel helpful to anybody. And it feels like everyone else around you knows what they're doing, even though they really don't. And so it can be very overwhelming and very isolating at times. And that's where really leaning on your people matters a lot. And it's also about the choices that you make each day. So even though it's hard, you decide to show up each day for yourself and for your patients, and staying focused on those people, that helps. And eventually we get here.
Absolutely. Okay, what do you think was the most joyful or happy occasion in med school?
Oh my gosh, meeting my fiance, 100%. So he's a current MD PhD student here. We started at the same time, and in our COVID era, we were only able to see about 6 people the whole year. It was our clinical skills group.
Oh my gosh.
he happened to be in my small group, which was really lucky. And I remember we were having some conversation about something. It turned to a conversation about dogs, and he said that he had 9 dogs at home.
What?
Yes, 9.
Oh my gosh.
And to my mind, I thought, this man is my energy. And so that started off a friendship that quickly turned into a partnership, and he's absolutely my better half. I am, I think, a more fun person thanks to him, more outgoing. I travel more. He brings out the best in me, helps me have fun, and I couldn't have done this without him. So I'm excited to now be his support system as he finishes out medical school in the next 4 years.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I have to ask about the 9 dogs. Are they all the same breed? Are they siblings? Are they all different? Just tell me more. I'm so intrigued.
I could talk about dogs all day. So in Puerto Rico, they don't have like your standard animal shelters like we do here. And so their family is very well known for just kind of taking dogs and, animals in need. And I think at one point they were up to 14 or 15, I think was the peak. It's a lot of strays. So sometimes they find these stray animals on the road, or my father-in-law likes to bike a lot. And so sometimes he'll just come home from his biking adventure with a new dog that he found in need. And so their family is just the best animal advocates that you could ever imagine. And, that's my retirement plan, is to have 1 billion dogs. And so, having someone who kind of met that energy was special and fun.
Absolutely. Okay, so going back to med school, if you were able to talk to your day one med school self, what advice would you give her?
I wish I could tell first day me that you're going to have to be bad at things before you're going to be good at things. Like I said, I think we come into this with the idea that, it's going to be hard, but it's going to be okay. Like, we've been historically successful. And that is true, that you will be okay, but it doesn't always feel like that.
Right.
And on those moments that you are making little failures and little mistakes, they feel like a very, very large deal in the moment because you may not have experienced that before. Mm-hmm. And so the failures and the mistakes are crucial to the learning process. And so I wish I could have told myself, and hopefully anybody else coming through this, that that's part of your experience. You have to struggle before you get better. And It's okay, and it's normal.
Absolutely.
So normalizing that, I think, would have been incredibly helpful very early on.
Okay, so you get to continue on at UT Southwestern for your residency. So for anyone in the audience who doesn't know, could you just talk a little bit about how the residency match process works, all the details there, and then also just tell us what it's like to be continuing on at the same institution? How excited are you? What are you most excited about?
Absolutely.
Tell us everything.
For sure. The residency match process works very differently than other industries. So basically, we will apply to different programs, and those programs will elect to interview us. At the end of all of the interviews, we as the applicants will create a rank list. So my first choice is this, my second choice is that, and you go down your list. At the same time, the programs that interviewed you are ranking you in a list of everyone who interviewed with them. So the idea is, if that program ranks you high and you rank that program high, you match, and then you will go to that institution.
Okay.
So it's a very complex algorithm that I personally don't fully understand. It's a little bit of a black box and a mystery to us, but it works. And so fortunately, I was able to rank at my first choice, UT Southwestern, Amazing. Which is very exciting. Not everybody gets to say that, so I'm really, really lucky. And I'm both excited and nervous, I think. I'm excited for this next phase. I'm ready to start being that doctor that I saw treat my mom, and I hope I can be that same kind of a person. It comes with a lot of nerves too. I can't say anymore, oh, I'm just the med student.
Right.
It's real patients, it's real families who are going to look at me and look at me with hope and, hopefully goals of care, and have those discussions. And it's going to be quite a growth year for me. But it's gonna be good. This is what we finally have arrived at.
Yeah, that's very, very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So going back to the Wilden Award for a minute, so this award is given to a student who is a natural leader. Could you tell us a little bit about kind of what that means to you? How do you view your leadership style? What does it mean to you to be a leader?
Absolutely. For me, my leadership style very much is lead by example. I can't expect anyone else to get excited about something if I'm not also excited about it. And I think what goes maybe unspoken or unnoticed a lot is people will grow to be the individual that they saw modeled. And so if I'm really passionate about free clinics, which I am, I'm out here telling people, yes, come do them, and doing them a lot. And so hopefully that's inspiring to people. And then also modeling, the different behaviors of how we talk about patients, how we care for patients and families, how we treat each other and how we give each other grace, how you give yourself grace. Trying to lead by example in all those areas hopefully will result in others doing the same. And then we can create a wave that will continue to propagate and influence future generations of students.
Yeah. Do you think that receiving this award kind of furthered your sense of wanting to make that kind of broader community impact for your role?
I think so. I never really saw myself as this, leader with a capital L. I was always very much more on a one-on-one or small group basis. That's always kind of been my space for engaging with others. Winning this award, I think, is very inspiring in that my work has been impactful. And now I'm in a position of privilege where I can try to create systemic change and push medical education to continue being that very positive and supportive environment. So I'm excited to see where this is going to go for me and how I'm going to get to use this platform for good.
Absolutely. So from a mentorship perspective, so you were talking earlier about some of the opportunities for just how your class has been really unified and close and very supportive of one another. How do you think about mentorship from kind of a peer-to-peer perspective, as well as mentorship, if you have a newer med student who's coming in? We'd love to just hear more from you about kind of those different dynamics of mentorship.
For sure. I think discussing with your peers is one of the best things you can do for pretty much any situation. Everyone's coming to the table with different strengths. And so my perspective or an idea of how to handle something might be very different from someone else's. And then listening to someone else's perspective on that and thinking, oh, that's actually way better than my own idea. It's really fun.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's brilliant people in my class. And so there are fabulous ideas all the way around. And having that kind of energy in a room, being in a space to help me grow and really elevate me in that way has been invaluable. And so as we think about then incorporating younger students into what we're doing in our day-to-day, it's valuing their ideas as well. What do they want to bring to the table and what can they bring to the table? Maybe they don't know yet, and it's our job to help them see that in themselves. And so it just creates a really fun dynamic of personal growth for everybody.
Absolutely.
And I love teaching and mentoring for that reason.
Yeah. Well, I imagine too that kind of the person-to-person element is critical when it comes to the patient experience and interacting with patients. How do you think about the role of just emotional intelligence, in the hospital with patients?
Absolutely. I see my role with patients very similar to my role as a mentor. People will share with you very intimate details about their life. They will share with you their struggles. There are a lot of tears that I have shared with mentees and with patients and their families. And so while those spaces can be challenging, they all help you grow in some way. And there's just really beautiful lessons to be learned from everybody. And so I feel like everyone that I have interacted with, both as a patient, as a family member, and then now as someone who's getting into medicine, mentoring others, they've all shaped some little part of me. And I just hope to carry their messages forward.
Absolutely. So when you look at kind of the broad picture of your career, next few years going forward, what do you hope your biggest accomplishment will be? What do you hope that you are remembered for in your career?
Oh man, what do I hope to be remembered for? I hope at the end of the day, I can be remembered as someone who was always there, who was present. I want to be that person that people can feel like they can call at any point with anything ever. And I hope that patients and families see me as someone who maybe can't fix everything and does not have all the answers, but is always working to be their advocate and maintain their
Absolutely.
dignity. Because in medicine, we're never going to be able to fix everything. But what we can do is make sure that patients and families are having the experience that they want to in healthcare, and we're maintaining that dignity for them. So if I can go down in history as that kind of a physician, then it's a good day's work.
Absolutely. And you were going into internal medicine. We'd love to hear kind of how you narrowed in on internal medicine for your residency.
Absolutely. I came into medical school interested in the field of oncology, actually. I remember shadowing in college and the patient-physician relationship being really, really special in that space. So coming in, I thought that that's something that I was going to want to be a part of, and I was part of a lot of activities related to oncology. As I got into my rotations, I saw a lot of different spaces where I could have that kind of a relationship. I had patients that I took care of in the surgical ICU on my surgery rotation, and that was really special. That was a really hard time for a lot of families. Family medicine, you get a lot of longitudinal relationships, which are really special. And then OB-GYN was one of my favorite rotations, delivering babies and being able to share in that moment when someone becomes a mother is really special. And so I think after all of my rotations, I landed on adults as my preferred population, but also internal medicine because it allows me to best have that kind of relationship in a variety of spaces with patients.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet if I'm going to subspecialize or do anything beyond that. We'll find out. I'll let you know when I know.
Okay, please do.
But it's a beautiful space where you can really get to know your patient as a full person and spend that time with them. And so that's very special. And here we are.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to 2019, I think the last 6 Hoden Award recipients have been women, which I love. So could you talk about just women in medicine? What sort of advice do you have? Who are some role models that you've had? And what does that mean to you?
For sure. One of my best mentors, her name is Nimrata Peswani. She's an oncologist here at UT Southwestern. And I remember her just being so real about her journey. There was no question that was off limits. She was always willing to help me, even with the personal life things. And having that level of openness is really, really helpful, especially as someone who doesn't have any family in medicine. So I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants most of the time. Having that kind of mentorship was crucial. Having someone to talk to about, hey, this family thing, how are you doing that as a doctor? That's really helpful. And in general, for young women interested in pursuing this career, I would just tell them, make your own choices and do you. You know yourself better than anybody else, and do the things that you want to do. I remember growing up, particularly in middle school and high school, I was told, don't take those classes, you'll be too overwhelmed. Don't do this activity, you will not be able to handle it. And just kind of things like that.
Yeah.
And I did not listen to them.
Great.
And I'm glad I didn't, because it pushed me in ways that I needed to grow. And I knew myself. I felt that I could do that. And I'm glad that I had the confidence to do that. So for anyone who is hoping to get into this wild, wild industry, do you know yourself, and you can do it.
Absolutely. So earlier you were talking about just how important it is to have kind of model behavior, whether it's in a leadership style, or in this case, like it's so important for younger kids and younger girls especially to be able to see role models in order to kind of see that path for themselves. What do you think are some of the things that we as a community can be doing to kind of encourage that excitement and enthusiasm for science in our youngest generations?
For sure. I think, as I said before, stay focused and passionate on the people.
Yeah.
My best mentors are ones who just exude love and passion for the field of medicine and for the people that they're taking care of, for the students they're mentoring. And so seeing someone with that kind of an outward passion is super inspiring, and I think is also contributed to why I've been able to stay so inspired to pursue medicine. And so as I think about like how I maybe want to play a game or play a role in that game later on and be that person in the community, I hope that I can be peppy and excited and, get excited about the root beer exploding with the
Totally.
Mentos or something like that. So showing passion, being truthful and honest and real counts for a lot. And I think that's the way that we recruit the best people possible for this field.
Absolutely. Okay, so I do want to briefly go back. You were talking about the free clinics at UT Southwestern that you've worked at. Could you just tell us a little bit more about how those operate? What has your role been? What's your experience been working in the clinics?
I love the free clinics so much. It's a space I didn't know I was going to love, but here I am. I can't say enough good things about it. I think it perfectly puts together everything I love in medicine. I get to take care of patients who are in very vulnerable positions and really provide them some love and support. I get to work with younger students as they start to see patients for the first time and have some of their first doctor moments, which is very exciting. And then I get to work with faculty who are also very passionate about these two same things. I can see where they've gone in their career, how they still fill the space, and how they fill their cup.
Yeah.
As well. So getting to be that kind of a mentor and leader in the free clinic, it's just been so much fun. It's just been the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I really can't say enough good things.
Do you think that it's offered kind of a different perspective from kind of what you've been learning in the classroom or just throughout med school from an education perspective? Like, in what ways has working in the clinic been kind of complementary to the regular med school curriculum?
For sure. The free clinics, you're able to start doing them even as a first semester med student. And I remember trying to do a few, they were virtual at the time, free clinics. And as a first year, you don't have a clue what's going on, which is always a great feeling.
Yeah.
But it was the touch point that you needed to say, hey, there's real people with these diseases that we're learning, and this is why we're going through this. So it's a touch point when you feel like you're drowning in the textbooks, so to speak, and trying to drink from the fire hose. And so that's really important for the early learners in this stage. And then even compared to rotations, for example, where we are taking a more active role in patient care, it's still not quite the same. In the free clinic, it's usually a younger med student, me, and then the faculty member. So our team is smaller, and we are very, very responsible for that person's care. So there's an extra level of responsibility that you feel that really pushes your growth. And then also as a clerkship student and a leader on that team, figuring out how to lead a team is a whole different skill set. So there are a lot of ways that it just embellishes our curriculum here. And I'm so glad that we have as many opportunities as we do to participate in those spaces.
Totally. Okay, can you tell me, I don't know, what does it mean to be a clerkship student?
Yes, sorry. So our pre-clerkship period is roughly our first year and a half, where we're doing the lectures, the books, kind of all the things there. You'll do the first round of your board exams right after that, and then you go into your rotations or your clerkship phase.
Okay, thank you. For those of us non-med students, that is very helpful. Okay, so when you go into your residency, do you have plans to continue working at the free clinics?
I hope so. Okay. That would be so amazing.
I imagine it's quite busy.
It is, from what I hear. We'll let you know. Can't imagine that I will be drowning for a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to work on surviving intern year.
Okay.
But then, yes, I hope that I can get back into that space because it's always been something that really fills my cup. And I imagine it's going to continue to do so. And then since I'm staying, I'm hoping I'll get to see and interact with some of the students I've worked with when they were first years and get to see their progress, which would be really, really exciting. So fingers crossed, I will make it back there.
Good. Okay, we hope you will. So I also want to ask about Dallas because you moved to Dallas for med school, right?
I did.
Okay, we'd love to hear about just what your experience in the city has been like. What are you most excited about for just being here in North Texas as you continue on the next few years?
Absolutely. Yes, living in Dallas was my first urban experience. I'm from a smaller town in Kansas. We are a little bit outside of Kansas City, so I've had access to a larger place, but never actually lived in one.
Okay.
So living in an urban area has been a lot of fun, to be honest. There's great access to all sorts of arts and sports and musical events and things that I didn't ordinarily have access to growing up or even in college. So that's been a lot of fun. The traffic takes a while to get used to.
Yeah,
I have to say, I have to say that one gets me.
Yeah.
But altogether, it's been fabulous. And so now that I'm going to be making some, residency money, we're moving up in the world, and we can just continue to go to these events and have a good time. There is goat yoga on Sunday where you do yoga with the goats. I've been
wanting to try that.
Yes, so that's on my calendar for this weekend.
Have you done it?
I've never done it, so
okay,
it's going to be my first try.
If it's a recommend or a maybe decline.
Yeah, the pictures looked awesome.
It looks great.
It's just little baby goats next to you doing yoga. I mean, that's the definition of wellness to me.
Goat yoga and 9 dogs. Sounds like a good combo.
Absolutely. We'll have a small farm.
Yeah. Okay, so there's one question that we ask to all of our guests, and it is, as a lot of our audience is kind of younger professionals seeking out kind of mentors and how to be good leaders and be role models in our community, who is a leader or mentor that you've had that stands out the most in helping kind of influence your life, influencing your view on leadership? And can you just talk about how they've influenced you?
For sure. Dr. Michael Chu is probably my biggest advocate and my favorite mentor. He is an internal medicine primary care physician here, and I actually got connected with him the summer after my first year. The COVID restrictions had just been lifted, and I was just feeling some anxiety about my skills and, going to the next level and how do I get better. So I reached out to him because a few people had really great experiences with him. He welcomed me with open arms. I was able to shadow him in clinic. He was a great teacher. He really pushed me in ways that I needed to grow at the time. And to this day, if there is an ethical concern, he's the one I call because I don't know what to do. If there are clinical questions, I'll randomly send him an email and say, hey, this came up in free clinic. What do you think about this? I was able to be a peer mentor for his first years this year, which is really exciting. So I got to have his mentorship from an education perspective, which is really different. And that was a great addition to our professional relationship. And so he is one of those people that just exude that passion for teaching and for medicine and continues to inspire people for that reason. And so being welcomed into his circle has been an absolute honor and blessing. And I just hope I can pay that forward for someone in the future.
No doubt at all that you will and already are.
Thank you.
Okay, so we do have a round of rapid fire questions. It's just 1 to 2 words, whatever comes to mind first.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, so first, what musician or band are you listening to the most right now?
The Chainsmokers.
Oh, so good. Have you seen them in concert?
So I have not, and there's a very recent funny story about that. Hopefully my fiance won't get too upset with me sharing this, but he tried to be romantic and purchase Chainsmokers tickets. What he did not realize was he didn't look at the calendar and see that his mother was flying in the same night. And so he bought them one day and was like, here, honey, we're going to go to a concert. It's going to be fun and romantic. And then the next day I get a text from him that says, I messed up. So we have been listening to the Chainsmokers together in the car in spirit of not going to the concert.
Perfect. Okay, what is your favorite TV show right now?
We're watching Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, what's that about? I'm kind of defying the whole rapid fire concept.
Sorry.
Tell me everything. No, it's me.
I'm giving you more than 1 to 2 words, so that's okay. So this is an older show. Like, I think it was in the 90s or something. Kenneth, my fiance, actually would watch it a lot growing up, and it's something I've never seen. So I'm watching it for the first time. It's just basically a family, particularly a couple, and then their parents live across the street. And so there's kind of the dynamics and the funnies of family and things that happen. It's a very lighthearted sitcom and makes me chuckle. So it's a good one.
Okay.
It's a good one.
What is your go-to restaurant in Dallas?
Go-to restaurant. Oh my gosh. So we've eaten a lot of Chipotle.
Wonderful.
That's
Always a good move.
Not really a Dallas restaurant per se, but in pre-clerkship, we would have Chipotle the night before every exam. So it was just kind of a thing that we did.
It's a nice tradition.
Mariano's is a Mexican restaurant here that I've absolutely loved.
Nice.
So that's
a good one.
That's a go-to. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, what is the best college at UT Southwestern?
Ooh, Selden, for sure.
Perfect.
The green.
Good answer. Okay, favorite professor while in school?
Favorite professor. Ooh, oh my gosh, that one's so hard. Okay, I'm going to go with Dr. Brett Evers.
Okay.
He's an MD, PhD as well. He taught all of our pathology sessions, and he was always the one bringing like the nasty looking organs and showing them and teaching from them. Great energy, just funny guy, and yeah.
Yeah, bring some organs, and it's like always very memorable.
Exactly. And say, here's this thing. It has hair on it. What do you think it is? He was great.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I feel like we've discussed this one. Dog person or cat person?
Oh, dog. All of the dogs.
Okay. All right, Scrubs or Grey's Anatomy or something else?
Ooh, Scrubs. I think I gotta go with Scrubs. I haven't watched that in a long time. I watched it when I was younger, and I know some classmates are currently watching it to like gear up for intern year.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to revisit it and see how I feel about it.
Yeah. Okay, last question. What is your favorite activity in Dallas outside of school?
Hammocking with my dog.
Sounds so nice.
Yes, I have a little hammock on my very small patio.
Yeah.
And he'll just get in there with me and cuddle, and we'll read, and yeah, it's perfect.
Good. Okay, well, Alexa, thank you so much for taking the time to be on our podcast. I feel like us in Dallas and anyone who's part of the broader UT Southwestern community is so lucky to have people like you who are helping to care for our city and for our community. So thank you for taking the time to be here. So wonderful to hear your insights and reflections. Congratulations on your soon-to-be commencement in 2 days.
Thank you.
Dr. Alexa Wilden has a very good ring to it. So we're excited to see everything that you do. And to all of our listeners, thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next time with our future guests.
Thank you all.
Thanks for listening to Learning from Leaders. If you enjoyed this episode, we invite you to subscribe now for monthly episode drops so that you can continue to learn from experienced business and community leaders to help you drive meaningful change in your community.